the Cincinnati Bengals, a team that last year was just a head scratcher of a team. They brought in re-signed Joseph Asai, brought back in Samaje Perine. That's about as much as they've done. They brought in Noah Fant, didn't they? Like last week. Brought in Desmond Ridder as well. They've said goodbye to Alex Kappa, Sheldon Rankins, Akeem Davis-Gabbard, Jermaine Pratt. I mean, that's quite Mike Hilton, a lot of older guys in there. They had the 17th pick in the draft. They drafted Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M, the edge rusher, which everyone's been desperately saying that they needed. They actually only had 2, 4, 6 picks in the end. I remember you actually being quite hyped. Didn't you say the Taj Brooks pick in the 6th round was a pretty good pick, Adam? Or am I making that up?
Yeah, I think it was probably more Andrew than me, but yeah, he's a decent running back. And also with Zach Moss has gone, hasn't he now? So it does feel like maybe they've seen a little bit in Taj Brooks, and they think that he's got something about him where he can be like the number 2 or the number 3 there now. So yeah, I think he's definitely going to be used in this season.
And we also the Trey Hendrickson situation still not sorted out either. A little bit like we were just talking about with the Myles Garrett situation. Oddly, he has reported for training camp now, which he hadn't done. So I think they said that was try and quicken up this situation or try and tie up the
Bengals have done him more though. Like the Bengals have done him over more than him. Like Burrow got his mates paid, didn't they? Really.
But the reason that's happened is because he hasn't done what Garrett has done.
Yeah.
He hasn't come out and said, well, trade me, then I want out. He hasn't come out and done that. And this is what you get if you don't do it.
Yeah.
This team last season severely underperformed, Sky. Do you think it was all defense? We said it was all defense, and we the entire of the NFL felt sorry for Joe Burrow because I can't remember what the record is, but they had 20 plus points in an amount of games and lost all of them. Like it was a complete shit show from their defense, wasn't it?
They lost 4 games when they scored at least 33 points, which is the most of any team in NFL history. The most and the reason I've gone such a deep dive on the Bengals is because I had them to make the Super Bowl against the Eagles, and I had Joe Burrow as the MVP. And I'm sorry, if they're a playoff team, he would have been the MVP. He was playing better than any quarterback in the league down the stretch, and he just got let down by some awful defensive play. Old Lou Anarumo's obviously taken the hit for that. They blamed him, and see you later, mate. We won't do much else on the defense in terms of signings. We'll just get someone else in. I just think that if they can be average on defense, just anything better than last year, they can get to double-digit wins and be back where they should be when you've got that offensive core of Higgins, Chase, and Burrow. But they are obviously historically known for a slow start in September. I know we're talking about, I feel like a big year for Zach Taylor. No team has won its first Super Bowl with the same quarterback starting for the same coach for 5 years. It's getting to a point now where the marriage, if it's going to split, well, obviously it's going to be Taylor, right? So this is a big year for the Bengals. But I think when you've got Joe Burrow, you've always got a chance. And I like their chances this season because surely, it can't be it was unprecedented stuff that was happening on that defensive side last year. They couldn't even cover. They couldn't blitz. They couldn't cover. It was mental.
But even this stuff with the defensive side of the ball in this offseason, Shamar Stewart, the whole contract thing was mental. What was that? What did and do you know what the bones of that was? It seemed like he was miffed about the money he was getting, and it took him ages, and it was all.
So it was to do with the wording in the contract and how they were sort of how he was going to get paid, what was going to be guaranteed, things like that. So it was very much a case of the Bengals wanted to change the way that the contracts were worded. Obviously that, Shamar Stewart didn't like that because he was kind of being the first one. Now, the wording that they've changed it to isn't any different to what a lot of teams already do. So it's not like it's unprecedented in the league. It's the first time the Bengals have ever done it. And I think that he felt a little bit like, well, why are you picking on me? And so that was where it sort of became really difficult. And then eventually they sort of came together and came to an agreement. But obviously that's a lot of practice reps that he's missed and a lot of time. And this is partly why they have slow starts all the time. It's things like this. You have the Trey Hendrickson thing. Well, that's not going to help either because he's not in the building. Trey Hendrickson is probably the ideal person that you want Shamar Stewart learning from. You know, they both play in the same position. It makes sense. So it's crazy that you're doing this. On the whole, I feel like the Bengals are just a poorly run team in general when it comes to the front office, and that's where a lot of the problems come in. The way that they've structured this roster, it's almost impossible to win. It is really stupid. Where, don't get me wrong, Chase, Higgins, Burrow, great, but you're spending over 100 million on 3 guys. That's 35% of your cap hit. That's crazy. You can't have, as wonderful as Burrow is, and as them 2 receivers are, you are kind of trying to win a Super Bowl with your hand tied behind your back here because you just can't spend the money into the defense or into the other positions. So it's really, really difficult. I do think that they drafted pretty well. I think a few of the guys they brought in can help the defense so they can be a little bit better. But they didn't really go out and buy anyone because they didn't have the money because they spent it all on Burrow, Chase and Higgins again. So it's very difficult to see them kind of win a Super Bowl because I just don't think the team structure from the front office has been done properly. They should easily be a playoff team with that offense. They really should. They are that good that they can get them there. And obviously they need to start better, which is going to be difficult when you've got things like Trey Hendrickson not playing. But I just don't see him winning it because I just don't think the money's being spent wisely enough.
It's all your points. So I've just looked at the roster now, as you said that, just saying about the structure of this team. And you're so right. Like,
well, it's about time that you realise that I was right. It's quite, it happens all the time.
Let's hold your horses here, buddy.
But it's too late. You've done it now. It's on record.
Let's not talk about the podcast we did yesterday with the name and all of that. Well, if anyone's interested, watch the NFC North deep dive, and you'll realise that Adam is not the saint he makes him out to be.
It's too late now. You've done it.
It's too late now. And you're right. You look at their offense. Jamar Chase, Tee Higgins. Who else? There's no one out. The rest of the wide receivers are not that great. Their O-line is not that good. Mike Gesicki is a little bit over the hill on it, really. Chase Brown, I like Chase Brown, but I don't think he's an RB1. And then you look on the defensive side, I mean, it's asking a lot from some older guys now. It's asking a lot from some older guys. And their drafting hasn't been great the last few years. It's not hit every time. I just think really what they didn't want to do was lose T and Jamar. And it was like, to everybody else, the logical thing was, well, you're going to have to lose one. And everyone went, well, no way you're getting rid of Jamar Chase. You're going to have to lose Tee Higgins. You're going to have to lose it. And they haven't. They just haven't. And it's not like T's very good. But I don't think he could be a very good one on a team if they give him the opportunity. But I don't think he's an elite one. I think he's an elite 2. Don't get me wrong, but then how many teams is the 2 got Jamar Chase playing on the other side of them? Not many places, really, to be honest with you. So it's that as well. I referenced this the other day when we were talking about our quarterbacks. So I watched the quarterback show, the season 2. Joe Burrow was on it, and I thought Joe was really great in that. To be fair, but watching that whole thing, I was just thinking, God, you've been hard done by this defense. You've been really hard done by this team. And you deserve he might go down as one of the greats to never get it, Do
you know the only thing I would say? I can't believe I'm about to say something ill against my mate Joe Burrow here. He advocated hard in one of those press conferences at the end of the season of like, you better bring Chase and Higgins back. He wanted both. Like, he's made his own bed.
He did
Like,
say he wanted
and
Hendrickson as well, though, didn't he?
yeah, but he didn't fight as hard. You know,
No,
it was
I know
like,
what you mean. Yeah,
give me
yeah.
my toys, and then
Yeah.
probably because he thought the defense can't be that bad again. But so he probably has some faith there. Look, he had the season he had was insane, and I guess when you're coming off of less than 10 picks, 43 touchdowns, almost 5,000 yards. For him, he's like, if I do this again, when you're that good, you believe you can elevate a team, right? And he genuinely is probably thinking, if his defense can just be middle of the pack, I can take these guys as far as they can go. He's already played in the Super Bowl. But I do agree, Fred. I think and this ties into what Adam said, both of your points, with how poorly they're run. I think this happens a lot. When you finally get someone who's generationally that good, you pander to them and you go, we've never had this before. We'll pay you everything. We'll give you everything you want. So in the long run, it might be that he doesn't ever get a Super Bowl because he sort of held the franchise to ransom, even if he didn't mean to do so.